Every obstacle, every tough decision, if you approach it reactively, you're already on the back foot. The truth is, the sharpest thinkers don't have easier paths. They've simply learned to see 2 steps ahead. Imagine navigating life like a strategist. No more rushing into choices, no more being blindsided. Just calm calculation. In a few moments, I'll show you how to sharpen your mind to anticipate outcomes before they unfold. So you stop playing catch-up and start directing the game. Because once you master this skill, no challenge and no competitor will ever bypass you again. Every person faces battles in life. Some battles are seen in the open, struggles for success, conflicts with others, challenges at work, or hardships in the family. But before these outer battles even begin, there is an inner battlefield that decides whether one wins or loses. That battlefield is the mind. The truth is, most people fall not because the challenge was too great, but because they were defeated in their thoughts before the first step was even taken. Doubt, fear, worry, and self-questioning weaken the spirit. A soldier who enters the field, already believing he is too small against his enemy, has already surrendered, even if his sword has not yet been drawn. Life is the same. We often give away our strength by allowing our thoughts to chain us down. The great secret is this: the real victory is first won in the mind. Once the mind is steady, brave, and clear, the body and actions naturally follow. When a person conquers himself, no outer enemy can truly destroy him. History offers us many proofs. Take Alexander the Great. He was not only a skilled warrior, but also a man whose belief in his own destiny made his armies fearless. His mind was unshakable. He saw victory long before he stepped onto the battlefield. Or think of Mahatma Gandhi, who fought an empire without weapons. His strength came not from armies, but from an unbroken will. Though frail in body, his mind was like iron, and it inspired millions to rise with him. Their victories were born first inside, long before the world could see them. This truth is not only for kings and leaders. Imagine a student facing a difficult exam. If the student begins by saying, "I cannot do this, I will fail," then the battle is already lost, even if knowledge is present. But if the student trains the mind to say, "I am prepared, I will give my best," the heart grows calm, the mind becomes sharp, and the body follows with strength. The test may still be hard, but the inner ground has been claimed, and that alone increases the chances of triumph. So how does one master the mind before the battle? It begins with stillness. In moments of fear or doubt, pause and breathe deeply. Remind yourself that fear is only a shadow. It has no power unless you feed it. Replace every thought of defeat with a picture of strength. Speak to yourself as a commander speaks to his troops, firmly, clearly, with no room for weakness. Prepare your mind each morning as a warrior sharpens his sword by choosing thoughts that lift, not break. A simple practice can be followed. Before facing any challenge, close your eyes for a few moments. Imagine the victory you seek. Feel it as if it is already yours. Let courage rise in your chest, then step forward, not with trembling, but with quiet confidence. Over time, this becomes second nature and fear loses its hold. Life will always bring storms, but storms cannot sink a ship whose captain holds steady at the helm. By mastering the mind before the battle, you do not wait for circumstances to decide your fate. You decide it yourself. Remember this: every great victory begins with a silent whisper inside the heart that says, "I will not bow." Once you hold that whisper with unshakable strength, no battle can truly conquer you. So walk into your battles not with fear, but with a mind already crowned in victory, for when the mind is mastered, the battle is already won. Seeing beyond obstacles with clarity. Life places many stones in our path. Some are small and easy to step over, while others seem like towering walls blocking every way forward. People often stumble not because the road is impossible, but because their eyes remain fixed only on the obstacle itself. When fear, confusion, and frustration cloud the mind, even a small challenge can feel like an unbreakable chain. The truth is, most difficulties appear larger than they really are, because we lose the ability to see beyond them. The principle that unlocks freedom is clarity. Clarity is the ability to see not only the wall in front of you, but also the space beyond it. It is the vision that looks past fear, past confusion, and past doubt, to recognize that every obstacle carries within it a hidden passage. When the mind is clear, the impossible becomes a puzzle waiting to be solved. But when the mind is clouded, even the simplest path becomes invisible. History gives us many examples of this truth. Consider Thomas Edison, who faced thousands of failed attempts before inventing the light bulb. To him, each failure was not a final wall, but a signpost guiding him closer to the answer. His clarity allowed him to see beyond the obstacle of failure and into the possibility of light. Or think of Helen Keller, born without sight and hearing, yet she became a voice of inspiration for millions. She once said that the only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. Her clarity of purpose allowed her to move past obstacles that others believed were impossible to overcome. This principle also lives in everyday life. Imagine a farmer whose crops are destroyed by a sudden storm. Many would see only ruin and despair. But the farmer who looks with clarity sees an opportunity to plant again with stronger methods, learning from the storm rather than bowing to it. The obstacle does not vanish, but it transforms into a teacher, and the farmer's spirit grows wiser and stronger. So how can one gain this clarity? It begins with calming the storm within. When a difficulty appears, do not rush, do not panic. Take a breath and ask yourself, what lies beyond this? What is the lesson hidden here? The mind must be trained to lift its gaze above the immediate struggle and imagine the horizon. Clarity grows when you trust that obstacles are not dead ends, but doors disguised in stone. A simple way to practice is this: whenever you face a challenge, pause and picture yourself already having moved through it. Imagine how you would feel, what you would have learned, and what strength you would carry on the other side. Hold that picture in your heart. Then return to the present with steady steps, working patiently, refusing to let fear blind your vision. Over time, this habit will sharpen the eyes of your mind, making clarity your natural state. Remember, obstacles are not sent to destroy you, but to awaken you. They stand before you, not as barriers, but as mirrors, showing you the strength that is waiting to be discovered within yourself. The person who sees with clarity is never trapped, for they know that every wall hides a doorway. So when life places a stone in your path, do not curse the stone or sit in despair. Lift your eyes, steady your mind, and see beyond it. For clarity is the lantern that lights the darkest road, and with it, no obstacle can truly keep you from your destiny. Every person faces problems. They appear in different forms: failure in work, struggles in relationships, financial hardships, unexpected losses, or the pain of rejection. Often, when a problem shows itself, the heart becomes heavy, the mind grows restless, and the will weakens. Many see problems as punishments or curses, believing they are signs of bad fortune. Yet, the truth is far deeper. Problems are not meant to crush us, but to reveal paths we could not have seen otherwise. The great secret of life is this: problems are hidden opportunities. They are doors disguised as walls. When faced with a challenge, the one who panics is blinded, but the one who steadies the mind discovers the opening hidden within. To master this way of thinking is to gain power over both fate and fear. It transforms pain into wisdom, failure into strength, and loss into new beginnings. History itself has been shaped by people who turned their problems into opportunities. Think of Abraham Lincoln, who faced repeated failures in business and politics. Yet each setback trained his character until he became one of the most respected leaders in history. Or consider Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison. For most, this would have been a life broken by suffering. Yet Mandela used those years as a furnace to strengthen his spirit, and when he emerged, he became a symbol of freedom and unity for his nation. Their greatness was not born in comfort, but in problems that became gateways to destiny. This principle is not only for great leaders, but for ordinary lives as well. Imagine a shopkeeper whose store is destroyed by fire. At first, despair may seem natural, but if he steadies his heart, he may realize the chance to rebuild in a better way, learning new methods, serving customers with renewed passion, and creating something stronger than before. The fire, though cruel, becomes a teacher that opens a new door. The path to turning problems into opportunities begins with a shift of sight. When a difficulty comes, do not ask, "Why me?" Instead, ask, "What can this teach me? What path is this opening for me?" This small change of thought is the seed of transformation. The mind must learn to look at a problem not as a dead end, but as a crossroad, leading to hidden strength or a new direction. To train yourself in this way, start with small challenges. When something does not go as planned, resist the urge to complain. Pause, breathe, and search for the lesson. With practice, your vision sharpens, and soon even heavy problems will appear as teachers in disguise. Over time, this becomes a natural way of living, and you will find yourself stronger than storms, calmer than chaos, and wiser than before. Remember this: the greatest treasures are buried under the hardest stones. Problems are not punishments, they are invitations. They invite you to grow, to rise, and to become more than you were yesterday. The one who understands this walks through life with unshakable courage, for no difficulty can truly defeat a spirit that knows how to turn problems into opportunities. So when life places trouble in your path, do not bow to despair. Instead, look deeper, lift your eyes, and step forward with the quiet power of one who knows that even the darkest trial carries within it a hidden light. For the truth is, timeless problems are the seeds of greatness, and those who learn to turn them into opportunities hold the key to unbreakable transformation. Outsmarting challenges with calm precision. Life often feels like a series of tests. Problems appear without warning: disappointments in work, misunderstandings with loved ones, financial struggles, or sudden changes that shake the ground beneath our feet. In such moments, many people react with fear, anger, or haste. They rush, they panic, and in their hurried state, they often make matters worse. The real danger is not the challenge itself, but the storm it creates inside the mind. The secret lies in calm precision. Calmness is the stillness that prevents confusion, and precision is the sharpness that finds the right path forward. Together, they form a power that can outsmart any challenge. The one who remains calm does not waste energy on fear, and the one who acts with precision does not scatter effort blindly. This union of steadiness and clarity is the mark of true mastery. History shines with examples of this principle. Consider King Solomon, remembered not only for his wisdom but for his calm judgment when faced with complex disputes. He listened, thought deeply, and delivered answers that astonished all. Or think of Chanakya, the ancient strategist, who turned the fall of kingdoms into opportunities by using intelligence over force. Their strength did not lie in brute power, but in the ability to stay composed and act with exactness when the world around them was in chaos. This principle also breathes in everyday life. Imagine a young athlete facing a stronger opponent. If he lets nerves take over, he will lose before the game even begins. But if he steadies his breath, observes his opponent's moves carefully, and responds with accuracy rather than panic, he can turn the fight in his favor. Calmness becomes his shield. Precision becomes his sword. To live this way, one must learn to slow down the storm within. When a challenge arrives, instead of rushing blindly, pause for a moment, breathe deeply, and clear the fog of panic. Then, look at the problem as if it were a puzzle, study its pieces, weigh its patterns, and strike only where it matters. Precision is not about doing more, but about doing what counts. A simple way to practice is to treat every small difficulty as training. When something goes wrong, resist the urge to react at once. Step back and ask yourself, what is truly happening here? What is the simplest, sharpest step I can take? With time, this habit grows into a natural strength, and soon no storm will be able to shake your center. Remember, challenges are not always defeated by force. Many times they are dissolved by wisdom. The river carves valleys, not by violence, but by steady flow. In the same way, a calm mind with precise action can accomplish what restless strength cannot. So when life confronts you with difficulties, do not tremble, do not rush. Stand steady, sharpen your mind, and move with quiet accuracy. For the one who outsmarts challenges with calm precision is not easily broken. And such a person walks the world, not as a victim of storms, but as their master. Life is full of uncertainties. People often wake up each day facing unexpected difficulties, missed chances, wasted time, sudden problems that steal peace, or opportunities that slip away because they were not ready. Many find themselves struggling, not because they lack talent or strength, but because they live only in the moment without preparing for what lies ahead. To walk without a map is to wander. To live without planning is to drift wherever the winds of chance may push you. The principle that changes everything is simple yet powerful: planning ahead. To plan is to see beyond the present, to shape tomorrow before it arrives, and to build a road before the journey begins. Those who master this art are not easily shaken by sudden storms because their steps are already guided by vision. Planning does not remove challenges, but it gives you the advantage of readiness, and readiness is the beginning of victory. History reveals countless examples of this truth. Consider Napoleon Bonaparte, whose success as a commander was not only due to his courage on the battlefield, but also to his ability to plan with remarkable detail. He prepared strategies far before the battle began, so when the clash arrived, his soldiers moved with precision. Or look at the great builders of ancient civilizations who created wonders that still stand today. Their achievements were not sudden miracles, but the fruit of careful preparation, patient design, and vision that stretched beyond their lifetime. Even in everyday life, this principle shows its power. Imagine a student preparing for an important examination. The one who studies only the night before, in panic and exhaustion, is likely to stumble. But the one who begins weeks earlier, making a quiet plan to study a little each day, walks into the exam hall with calm confidence. The challenge is the same, but the outcome is different because one planned ahead while the other waited until it was too late. To live with this strength, one must first understand that every moment carries seeds of the future. Planning ahead is the act of planting those seeds wisely. When you rise each morning, ask yourself, what is the step I must take today that will prepare me for tomorrow? Small, steady preparation builds a fortress that no sudden storm can destroy. A simple practice can help. Before ending each day, spend a few quiet moments imagining the day ahead. See where your time should go, decide where your effort should rest, and commit to 1 or 2 steps that bring you closer to your vision. This habit sharpens the mind and builds discipline. Soon, planning becomes a natural part of your being, and your days flow with purpose rather than chaos. Remember this: those who wait for life to happen are always behind, but those who prepare for life before it arrives walk with an unseen strength. Planning ahead is not just about schedules or tasks. It is about shaping destiny with foresight. It is about choosing to be the author of your path rather than a wanderer lost in the maze of chance. So walk into your future, not blindly, but with vision. Let your plans be the lantern that lights your way, guiding you through darkness and uncertainty. For the one who plans ahead will always stay ahead, and no obstacle, however sudden, can truly stop a soul that has already prepared for victory. Life often surprises us. Some surprises bring joy, while others arrive as sudden storms that shake the heart. People lose jobs without warning, friendships break, opportunities vanish, or problems appear just when everything seemed peaceful. Most stumble not because the storm is too strong, but because they never saw it coming. They live only in reaction, waiting for life to strike before they move. This constant state of surprise drains strength and blinds vision. The principle that changes this is anticipation. Anticipation is the art of looking ahead, of sensing what may come, and preparing the mind and spirit before the challenge arrives. It is not about fear of the future, but about walking with foresight. When you anticipate, you are never fully caught off guard. You begin to act before others even see the problem. This is a hidden power, a strength that separates the prepared from the unprepared. History gives us striking examples of this. Consider Julius Caesar, who marched with precision not because he had stronger soldiers, but because he anticipated the moves of his enemies. His foresight turned battles before swords even clashed. Or think of Leonardo da Vinci, whose mind often lived years ahead of his time. He imagined inventions and ideas long before the world was ready for them. Their power came from anticipating possibilities beyond the present moment. This principle also reveals itself in ordinary life. Imagine a family preparing for the heavy rains of the season. While some wait until the floods arrive and then scramble to save what they can, the wise family strengthens the roof, secures the fields, and stores food before the first cloud appears. When the rains finally come, they stand steady, while others struggle. The difference is not luck, it is anticipation. To live with this strength, one must learn to sharpen the eyes of the mind. Begin each day by asking, what might come? What paths could open? What storms may rise? By imagining both challenges and opportunities, you train yourself to be ready for either. Anticipation is not worry, it is readiness born from vision. A simple practice is to end each evening by reflecting on the day that passed and picturing the one to come. See the possible difficulties and the possible openings. Plan 1 or 2 steps that prepare you for them. Over time, this habit builds a powerful calmness within you. When surprises arrive, you will not tremble. You will meet them as if you had been waiting all along. Remember, the world often belongs to those who see just a little further than others. Anticipation gives you this edge. It allows you to turn storms into stepping stones and surprises into silent allies. The one who anticipates does not merely live in the present, but dances with the future, already holding its secrets in the heart. So do not wait for life to strike before you rise. Train your mind to see beyond the moment. Walk forward with the quiet confidence of one who is already prepared. For the power of anticipation is the power to master tomorrow before it arrives, and with it, you become unshakable, untouchable, and unstoppable. Life often feels heavy when problems surround us. A person may face failure in work, conflict in relationships, or difficulties in reaching their goals. In such times, the natural reaction is to see only the problem itself, to stare at it so closely that it seems like a mountain too large to climb. The more we focus only on the difficulty, the more hopeless it appears. What many forget is that the problem itself is rarely the end. The way we look at it decides whether it will break us or build us. The principle that unlocks freedom is the power of shifting perspective. By changing the way we see a challenge, we often discover answers that were hidden before. Perspective is like light. When it falls from one angle, shadows cover the path. But when it shifts, the same path becomes clear. Those who master this ability no longer remain trapped. They learn to turn problems into opportunities by simply choosing to see differently. History gives us shining examples of this truth. Consider Albert Einstein, who once said that no problem can be solved from the same level of thinking that created it. His discoveries came from daring to look at the universe in ways no one else had imagined. Or think of the great inventor Nikola Tesla, who turned his setbacks into stepping stones by seeing possibilities where others saw failure. Their genius was not only in skill, but in perspective, the courage to view the world from another angle. This principle lives not only in the lives of great thinkers, but also in ordinary struggles. Imagine a young man who loses his job. At first, despair fills his heart. He sees only rejection, only failure. But if he shifts his perspective, he may realize that this loss gives him the chance to explore talents he had long ignored, perhaps starting a new path that leads to greater fulfillment. The problem itself does not change, but his view of it does, and with that new view, a solution appears. To practice this in life, one must train the mind to step back whenever faced with difficulty. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What else could this mean? What hidden path could this problem be pointing me toward?" By asking new questions, the mind is forced to look at the situation with fresh eyes. In this way, the same problem that once looked like a wall may reveal itself as a doorway. A simple habit can strengthen this skill. Whenever a problem arises, pause and imagine how someone else, perhaps a wise friend, a leader, or even a stranger, might see the same situation. By stepping out of your own narrow view, you allow new solutions to come. Over time, this habit makes the mind flexible, and flexibility is the seed of true power. Remember, life is not only about the challenges you face, but how you choose to see them. Perspective is the hidden key that unlocks solutions where others see none. Those who learn to shift it hold a power greater than strength, they hold the ability to transform. So, when you face your next obstacle, do not stare at it with the same tired eyes. Step back, turn the lens, and let the light of a new angle reveal the path forward. For the one who learns to shift perspective will always find solutions. And such a person walks through life, not as a prisoner of problems, but as a discoverer of hidden possibilities. Every person encounters problems. They come in the form of disappointments, failures, broken plans, or unexpected turns of fate. In such moments, the natural response is to focus only on what is directly in front of us, the difficulty itself. The mind becomes locked on the weight of the challenge. And because of this, many people stay trapped. They see only the problem, not the path beyond it. The secret to rising above life's struggles is to think not just about the problem, but 2 steps beyond it. This means looking past the immediate pain and imagining what lies ahead. It is the art of foresight, the ability to ask not only what is wrong now, but what can this lead to if I endure, adapt, and act wisely? The one who masters this way of thinking no longer reacts blindly. They transform challenges into stepping stones, for they see not only the wall, but also the road beyond the wall. History shows this principle in action. Consider Winston Churchill during the darkest days of the Second World War. When others were overwhelmed by the destruction at hand, he thought beyond the immediate problem of survival. His vision stretched 2 steps further towards resistance, resilience, and eventual victory. His foresight gave his people courage when fear threatened to crush them. Or think of Thomas Edison, who did not view a failed experiment as an end, but as a step that would eventually lead to success. His mind was never trapped in the failure itself. It was always 2 steps beyond, searching for the invention waiting on the other side. This principle is not only for leaders or inventors, it lives in daily life. Imagine a young woman who fails an entrance exam. At first, despair takes hold, she sees only rejection. But when she trains her mind to think beyond the problem, she realizes this is not the end, but a chance to prepare better, discover new strengths, or even find a different path that may suit her more. By thinking 2 steps ahead, she turns disappointment into direction. To practice this, one must develop the habit of pausing when problems appear. Instead of drowning in the question why me, ask, if I move past this, what might it open for me? This simple shift trains the mind to stretch beyond the prison of the present. Over time, it becomes natural to see problems not as final defeats, but as temporary gates to something greater. A practical way to strengthen this is through imagination. When facing a difficulty, close your eyes and picture yourself already beyond it. See what lessons you have gained, what strength you have discovered, and what new path lies before you. Hold that vision and then return to the present, carrying the calmness of someone who already knows the road continues. Remember, the power to overcome does not belong to those who stare only at the stone in their path, but to those who see the horizon that lies beyond it. To think 2 steps beyond the problem is to refuse to be trapped by the moment. It is to claim the wisdom of vision and the strength of foresight. So the next time life places a problem before you, do not stop at the obstacle. Lift your gaze and step into the unseen. For the one who thinks 2 steps beyond the problem holds the key to transformation, and such a person walks not as a captive of fate, but as a master of destiny. Life tests us not only with external challenges, but also with storms inside our own hearts. Anger, fear, jealousy, grief, and frustration often rise suddenly, shaking our peace. In such moments, decisions are easily clouded. Words spoken in anger wound relationships. Choices made in fear close doors that might have led to growth. Actions taken in haste often lead to regret. Many people lose battles not because the challenge was too great, but because their emotions drowned their clarity. The principle that can save us is learning to use logic when emotions rise. Logic is the clear flame that cuts through the fog of passion. It is the steady hand on the wheel when the sea is raging. To master this ability is to hold power over oneself, and that is the highest power of all. The person who can calm the storm inside gains the strength to face any storm outside. History teaches us the value of this principle. Consider Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. Though he ruled during wars and plagues, he was known for his calmness and reason. He wrote to himself reminders to stay above anger, fear, and pride, and through this discipline he guided an empire with wisdom. Or think of Mahatma Gandhi, who faced violence and hatred, yet chose the path of patience and reason. His calm logic in the face of great emotion inspired millions to follow him in peace rather than war. This principle also lives in everyday life. Imagine a father scolded unfairly at work. He comes home burning with anger. If he lets that fire control him, he may shout at his children, hurting the very ones he loves. But if he pauses, breathes, and allows logic to speak louder than anger, he may realize that his frustration comes not from them, but from the unfairness of the day. By choosing reason over rage, he saves his family from needless pain and keeps his dignity intact. To live by this principle, one must practice a simple art: pause before action. When emotions rise, do not react at once. Instead, take a breath and ask, if I were calm, what would I do? This small delay allows logic to awaken, and with it better choices emerge. With time, the mind learns to stay clear, even when the heart is burning. Another way to strengthen this is to write down or quietly repeat truths that remind you of perspective, that anger passes, that fear lies, and that calmness reveals the real path. By training the mind in moments of peace, it becomes stronger in moments of turmoil. Remember this: emotions are powerful waves, but logic is the anchor. If you let the waves control you, you are tossed wherever they wish. But if you hold to reason, you stand firm, no matter how fierce the storm. So when emotions rise, do not be their slave. Step back, breathe, and let logic guide you. For the one who masters reason in the heat of emotion does not merely survive life's storms, they bend them into lessons and emerge unshaken. This is true strength, quiet and unseen, yet greater than any outward power. And once you hold it, no force of emotion can ever rule you again. Life can feel like a battlefield of small and big challenges. People wake up each day carrying the weight of unfinished tasks, unexpected setbacks, financial worries, strained relationships, or dreams that feel too far away. Many keep moving forward, but without direction, their energy scatters. They work hard, yet feel as though they remain in the same place, chasing solutions but never truly mastering them. The truth is, effort without strategy often leads to exhaustion rather than success. The principle that transforms this cycle is the art of crafting strategies for everyday success. A strategy is more than a plan. It is wisdom to direct energy in the right way, at the right time, with the right focus. It is the difference between a warrior who swings wildly and one who strikes with precision. When you learn to create strategies for your daily life, you begin to shape your future with intention rather than chance. History is filled with figures who mastered this principle. Sun Tzu, the ancient strategist, taught that battles are won before they are fought through preparation, vision, and careful moves. His wisdom, though spoken for war, applies equally to life. Closer in time, we see how leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. created powerful movements, not through random action, but through carefully crafted steps that built momentum and unity. Their success was not accidental. It was the fruit of strategy. Even in everyday life, this principle shines. Imagine a student who dreams of excelling in studies. Without a strategy, he may study at random, tire himself out, and lose confidence. But if he divides his lessons into smaller goals, sets aside time for rest, and focuses on his weak areas first, he begins to see steady progress. The same effort, directed through strategy, brings confidence and achievement. To bring this into practice, one must first train the mind to pause and think before acting. Instead of rushing into tasks blindly, ask, what is the best way to approach this? What steps will bring me closest to my goal with the least waste? By asking these questions, you invite wisdom to guide effort. A simple way to begin is to craft a small strategy each morning. Choose one important goal for the day and decide how you will approach it step by step. Keep your actions steady, adjusting when challenges arise. Over time, this habit builds a mindset that sees patterns, foresees obstacles, and finds paths where others see dead ends. Strategy becomes second nature, and success becomes a daily companion. Remember, success is not built only on strength or talent, but on the wisdom of direction. The river does not cut through rock because of its power, but because of its persistence and path. In the same way, a life guided by strategy moves steadily toward greatness. So, do not walk through life scattering your effort like seeds thrown into the wind. Craft your strategies, sharpen your steps, and move with purpose. For the one who learns this art does not merely survive each day, but masters it, turning ordinary moments into silent victories. And when strategies shape your life, success ceases to be a distant dream, it becomes your daily reality. Life rarely unfolds in a straight line. Just when someone feels they are moving smoothly toward their goals, an unexpected roadblock appears. Plans collapse, health falters, relationships shake, or opportunities slip away. These sudden barriers can drain courage, leaving people feeling stuck, powerless, and lost. Many stop at the roadblock, believing it is the end. Yet the truth is, most roadblocks are not endings at all. They are tests of vision and adaptability. The principle that turns struggle into strength is the ability to outsmart life's unexpected roadblocks. Outsmarting does not mean fighting harder against the wall, but learning to see beyond it, around it, or even through it. It is the skill of shifting thought, adjusting action, and discovering hidden paths where others see only dead ends. Those who master this art are not easily broken, for they understand that every roadblock carries within it the seed of a new route forward. History offers powerful lessons of this truth. Consider Alexander Fleming, who discovered penicillin. His breakthrough came not from a perfect plan, but from what seemed at first to be a mistake in his experiments. Instead of discarding the failure, he looked closer, adapted, and uncovered a medicine that changed the world. What looked like a roadblock was, in fact, a doorway. Or think of Nelson Mandela, who spent decades in prison. For many, such confinement would destroy hope. Yet Mandela used that time to sharpen his spirit and strategy. When he emerged, he was prepared to lead his nation to freedom. His roadblock became his foundation. This principle is alive in everyday life, too. Imagine a young man who dreams of opening a small business, but his first attempt fails, leaving him with debt and disappointment. At first, it feels like the end of his dream. But if he learns to outsmart the roadblock, he may study what went wrong, change his approach, and rebuild with wiser steps. Over time, the very failure that once felt like defeat becomes the reason he succeeds the second time. The way to outsmart roadblocks begins with the mind. When an obstacle appears, the first instinct is often frustration or despair. But if you pause, breathe, and ask, "What is this teaching me? Where is the hidden path in this?" you shift from reaction to strategy. The roadblock loses its power because you no longer see it as an end, but as a challenge to be solved. A simple habit to build this strength is to train yourself to imagine alternatives whenever you face a setback. If one path is blocked, immediately ask yourself, what are 3 other ways forward? Even if the answers are not perfect, the act of searching sharpens your creativity and strengthens your resilience. With practice, the mind grows flexible. And flexibility is the essence of outsmarting life. Remember, the river does not stop when it meets a rock. It flows around it, over it, or wears it down with time. In the same way, you must not let roadblocks define you. Outsmart them with patience, vision, and creativity, and they will become stepping stones to a greater journey. So when life throws an unexpected barrier across your path, do not stop. Do not despair. Lift your mind above frustration, and let strategy guide you. For the one who learns to outsmart roadblocks walks with quiet power, knowing that no barrier is final, and every obstacle is only another chance to rise higher than before. Every person faces setbacks in life. Dreams are delayed, efforts collapse, and plans that once seemed certain suddenly fall apart. These moments can leave people feeling powerless, as if fate itself has turned against them. For many, setbacks become chains. They stop trying, lose courage, and accept defeat as their destiny. Yet, setbacks are not the end. They are crossroads, and what one does at that point determines whether the setback becomes a tombstone of failure or a stepping stone to victory. The principle that changes everything is the art of transforming setbacks into strategic wins. A setback, by itself, is only a pause or a detour. When the mind learns to look deeper, each setback can become an opportunity to gather knowledge, sharpen strategy, and return stronger. The key is not to see failure as destruction, but as a hidden lesson pointing toward a greater way forward. History offers countless examples of this truth. Think of Abraham Lincoln, who lost elections multiple times before finally becoming one of the most respected leaders in history. Each political defeat taught him resilience and gave him insight into people and leadership. Or consider Thomas Edison, who faced thousands of failed attempts before discovering the electric light. He did not call them failures, he called them steps. What others saw as wasted effort, he turned into strategic wins that led to invention. This principle also reveals its strength in everyday life. Imagine a young woman who dreams of becoming a dancer but fails in her first competition. At first, the pain of rejection feels heavy, but instead of giving up, she studies her mistakes, learns new techniques, and returns to the stage stronger. What was once a setback becomes the very reason she improves. Without the failure, she would never have discovered the depth of her own potential. To live by this principle, one must train the mind to shift perspective. When a setback comes, pause and ask, what can this teach me? How can I use this to refine my path? By turning attention from pain to purpose, you gain the ability to reshape defeat into wisdom. This simple mental shift is the difference between those who remain broken and those who rise higher than before. A practical way to apply this is to treat each setback as a mirror. Look into it honestly, see where things went wrong, and then design a new approach. Even small adjustments, changing habits, seeking guidance, or building new skills, can transform failure into a strategic advantage. Over time, you will no longer fear setbacks. You will welcome them as teachers in disguise. Remember, no great journey has ever been free of obstacles. Mountains are climbed, not by avoiding rocks, but by learning how to step on them. The strongest people are not those who never fall, but those who learn how to turn every fall into a rise. So, when life knocks you down, do not stay in the dust. Rise, gather the lesson, sharpen your strategy, and step forward with renewed strength. For the secret of greatness lies not in never facing setbacks, but in transforming them into victories that no obstacle can erase. The one who learns this art becomes unshakable, walking through life not as a victim of defeat, but as a master who knows how to turn every setback into a strategic win. Many people struggle with confidence. They hesitate to speak, doubt their abilities, or fear making mistakes. In daily life, this lack of self-belief becomes a heavy chain. It stops students from raising their hand in class, workers from sharing new ideas, or dreamers from taking the first step toward their goals. The world is full of talented individuals who remain hidden, not because they lack skill, but because they lack confidence. The secret to breaking this chain lies in smart thinking. Confidence is not simply about loud words or bold gestures. It is the fruit of clear, wise, and strategic thought. Smart thinking means analyzing situations calmly, planning responses carefully, and acting with foresight. When you think with clarity and strategy, you begin to trust your own judgment, and that trust is the foundation of confidence. History shows us many examples of this truth. Consider Benjamin Franklin, who was not born into wealth or privilege. He built his reputation and influence through sharp observation, careful planning, and thoughtful choices. His confidence grew from the knowledge that his mind could find solutions. Or think of Chanakya, the ancient strategist, who guided a young prince to build one of the greatest empires in history. His strength did not lie in armies, but in his sharp mind. Their confidence was unshakable because it was built on the solid ground of intelligent thought. This principle lives even in everyday struggles. Imagine a young man preparing for an important interview. If he relies only on hope, he may feel nervous and unsteady. But if he prepares carefully, studies likely questions, practices his answers, and plans how to present himself, his thinking becomes sharp and his confidence naturally rises. His calmness is not an accident, it is the result of smart preparation. To build confidence through smart thinking, one must first learn to slow down the rush of fear. Instead of reacting in panic, pause and ask, what is truly required here? What is the wisest step I can take? This question alone shifts the mind from fear to clarity. Over time, the habit of thinking smartly creates an inner trust that no challenge can easily shake. A simple practice is this: each time you face a task, prepare your thoughts as a warrior sharpens his weapon. Break the problem into smaller parts, imagine different outcomes, and choose the most effective step. With every success, even small ones, your confidence grows not from empty belief, but from the proven strength of your own reasoning. Remember, true confidence is not the absence of fear, but the presence of clarity. It is not shouting loudly, but knowing silently that your mind is ready. When you learn to think smart, you no longer need to force confidence. It flows naturally because you know you can handle what life brings. So the next time you feel doubt, do not search outside for strength. Turn inward, sharpen your thoughts, and let wisdom guide your steps. For the one who builds confidence through smart thinking carries a quiet power, a strength that does not boast yet never breaks. And such a person walks through life not as a follower of chance, but as a master of destiny. In daily life, people often become trapped by their weaknesses. They compare themselves to others, focusing on what they cannot do, rather than recognizing the gifts already in their hands. A singer may wish to be a dancer, a thinker may envy the athlete, and a leader may fear their lack of certain skills. This endless cycle of self-doubt weakens the spirit. It blinds people to the truth that every person has both strengths and weaknesses, but greatness comes not from being perfect, but from wisely using what is strong while guarding what is weak. The principle that transforms lives is this: leverage your strengths and minimize your weaknesses. Strengths are the natural powers within you, skills, talents, and qualities that flow with ease. Weaknesses are not curses. They are simply areas where you must move with caution. By mastering this balance, you gain an extraordinary advantage. Instead of wasting energy trying to be someone you are not, you grow by becoming the best version of who you already are. History shows this clearly. Consider Napoleon Bonaparte. He knew his strength lay in strategy, not in sheer force. He used his mind to outmaneuver armies far larger than his own. Or think of Helen Keller. Though blind and deaf, she did not spend her life grieving over her weaknesses. Instead, she used her strength of determination and inner vision to inspire millions. They did not succeed by eliminating their weaknesses, but by mastering the art of working with them. This principle lives in simple moments, too. Imagine a student who struggles with mathematics but has a gift for writing. If he spends all his time worrying about numbers, he may grow discouraged. But if he strengthens his writing, he can build a path of success, while still working carefully to manage his weakness in math. By focusing on his strength, he gains confidence and creates opportunities, while his weakness no longer defines him. To apply this principle, one must first know oneself. Observe where your efforts flow naturally and where they drain you. Strengths are like rivers, they move with power and direction. Weaknesses are like swamps. They slow progress if you dwell too long. By placing more of your energy into rivers while carefully managing the swamps, you create steady forward movement in life. A simple practice is to spend time each day building what you do best. Nurture your strength until it becomes your signature, the mark by which the world remembers you. At the same time, do not ignore weaknesses. Instead, shield them, plan around them, or learn enough to prevent them from holding you back. In this way, you create harmony within yourself, your strengths carry you forward, while your weaknesses no longer control your destiny. Remember, the most powerful lives are not lived by those who are flawless, but by those who understand themselves deeply. True mastery is not perfection, it is wise alignment. When you learn to leverage your strengths and minimize your weaknesses, you become unstoppable, because you are no longer fighting against yourself. So walk through life with this clarity. You are not meant to be everything, but you are meant to be something extraordinary. Use what is strong, guard what is weak, and shape your path with wisdom. For the one who masters this balance holds the quiet power to rise above limitations and walk confidently toward destiny. Life is filled with choices. Some are simple and carry little weight, but others are complex, shaping the very direction of one's future. A wrong turn may cost years of effort, while the right decision may open doors to growth, success, and peace. Yet in moments of uncertainty, many people freeze. They feel lost in the maze of possibilities, confused by doubt, fear, or pressure. Without clarity, they either delay too long or make hasty moves that later lead to regret. The principle that untangles this confusion is the use of mental maps for complex decisions. A mental map is not drawn on paper. It is the clear picture the mind creates to organize choices, pathways, and outcomes. Just as a traveler needs a map to navigate unknown lands, the decision-maker needs a mental map to see beyond immediate emotions and to understand the terrain of options before them. To master this is to gain power over complexity itself, for with a mental map, the impossible becomes manageable. History gives us striking lessons. Consider Hannibal, the great Carthaginian general who led his army across the Alps. His decision was not made blindly. He carried a mental map of terrain, resources, and timing that allowed him to accomplish what seemed unthinkable. Or think of Leonardo da Vinci, whose mind mapped connections between science, art, and engineering. His ability to hold vast complexity within a mental structure gave birth to ideas centuries ahead of his time. Their strength was not only in skill, but in their ability to chart invisible maps within the mind. This principle also shines in everyday life. Imagine a young woman deciding between two career paths. Without a mental map, she feels torn. One path offers stability, the other creativity. By creating a mental map, she weighs the outcomes, considers the sacrifices, and envisions the future each path may bring. She sees not only the first step, but the steps beyond. With clarity, her decision transforms from confusion into strategy, and she moves forward with confidence instead of fear. To practice this, one must train the mind to pause before deciding. Instead of being swept by impulse, step back and draw a mental map of the situation. Ask, what are the options before me? What consequences might each choice bring? What values or goals matter most in this decision? This process is like lifting yourself above the maze, seeing not only the next corner but the entire layout. A simple way to strengthen this skill is through reflection. After each decision, whether small or large, look back at the path you took and imagine how the mental map guided you or how it could have been clearer. With time, the mind grows sharper, and building mental maps becomes natural. Remember, the greatest journeys are not traveled blindly, but with vision. Mental maps are the hidden tools that allow a person to navigate life's complexity with grace. They turn fear into foresight and confusion into clarity. So the next time you face a decision that feels too heavy, do not rush or despair. Step back, chart the invisible map within your mind, and let it guide you through the maze. For the one who builds mental maps does not wander aimlessly, they walk with direction, wisdom, and quiet power. And such a traveler is never lost, no matter how complex the road may seem. Fear is one of the greatest enemies of human progress. It appears in countless forms: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of losing what we have, fear of stepping into the unknown. In daily life, these fears quietly shape decisions. A person may avoid speaking up, hesitate to take a chance, or abandon a dream before it even begins. Fear builds invisible walls, keeping people trapped in a smaller life than the one they are capable of living. The secret to breaking these walls is bold vision. Vision is the ability to see beyond the shadow of fear and fix the eyes on what lies ahead. Where fear whispers of danger, vision speaks of possibility. Where fear paralyzes, vision moves. To outmaneuver fear does not mean fighting it head-on with brute force. It means shifting the mind's focus so completely toward the greater picture that fear loses its grip. Bold vision turns fear from a master into a mere shadow. History is filled with examples of this truth. Consider Christopher Columbus, who sailed into uncharted seas when others trembled at the thought of falling off the edge of the world. His vision of discovering new lands was stronger than his fear of the unknown. Or think of Harriet Tubman, who risked her life to guide slaves to freedom. Her bold vision of liberty outshone the constant fear of capture or death. These figures were not without fear, but they outmaneuvered it by keeping their vision brighter than their doubts. This principle is alive in ordinary life, too. Imagine a young woman who dreams of starting her own school but fears failure, criticism, and lack of support. If she focuses only on fear, she will never begin. But if she builds a vision so bold and clear of children learning, of lives transformed, her fear begins to shrink. Her vision pulls her forward like a powerful tide, and she discovers courage she never thought she had. To live this way, one must train the mind to see beyond the present shadows. When fear rises, pause and ask, what is the greater vision I am moving toward? What picture of the future can I hold so strongly that fear cannot blind me? By returning to that vision again and again, the heart grows steadier, and decisions become guided by purpose rather than panic. A simple practice is to imagine your boldest dream as if it were already alive. Picture the details, the outcomes, the impact. Let this vision burn so brightly within you that when fear approaches, it seems small in comparison. Over time, vision becomes your shield and compass, leading you through storms that once would have stopped you. Remember, fear is powerful only when it blinds you to possibility, but vision clears the fog, revealing paths that fear tries to hide. The one who lives with bold vision no longer runs from fear, they outmaneuver it, turning each step into a movement toward destiny. So when fear stands in your way, do not wrestle it endlessly. Lift your eyes, sharpen your vision, and let it guide you beyond the shadows. For the one who walks with bold vision cannot be held captive by fear, and such a person becomes unstoppable, shaping a life not of limits but of boundless horizons. Life is never still. Just when a person begins to feel secure, the ground shifts, plans collapse, jobs change, traditions fade, and the world moves in directions no one expected. In such times, many feel overwhelmed, clinging to the old ways even as they slip from their hands. The greatest challenge of life is not that it changes, it is that people often resist change, and in doing so, they fall behind. The principle that brings strength is the ability to adapt fast in changing times. Adaptation is the art of bending without breaking, of shifting swiftly without losing balance. It is not about abandoning values, but about adjusting methods. The one who adapts quickly does not fear storms, for they know how to sail in shifting winds. Mastering this ability brings true power, for change becomes not a threat, but an ally. History shows this truth again and again. Consider Charles Darwin's observation that survival belongs not to the strongest or the most intelligent, but to those most adaptable to change. Or think of great leaders like Winston Churchill, who in the darkest days of war changed strategies again and again to outmaneuver threats. Their strength lay not in rigid plans, but in the flexibility to adjust when the world demanded it. This principle lives in ordinary moments, too. Imagine a farmer who has always planted the same crop, but one year the rains do not come. If he clings to old ways, his land will fail. But if he adapts, changing his crop or finding new methods, he survives and even thrives. His quickness to adjust is the difference between despair and renewal. To practice this art, one must learn to loosen the grip on certainty. When life shifts, do not waste energy mourning the past. Instead, pause, observe, and ask, what is the new path that this change is revealing? How can I adjust my steps to keep moving forward? By asking these questions, the mind learns to see opportunities hidden inside disruption. A simple way to build this strength is to train yourself in small things, try new methods, change routines, and embrace unfamiliar challenges. Each small act of flexibility strengthens the mind, so that when larger changes arrive, you can adapt swiftly instead of resisting. Over time, this habit creates resilience, and resilience is the secret armor of those who thrive in shifting times. Remember, the river flows not because it resists the rocks, but because it moves around them. In the same way, those who adapt fast move beyond obstacles that stop others. They do not waste energy fighting the inevitable, they rise by working with it. So when life changes suddenly, do not fear and do not cling to what has already passed. Stand firm in spirit, but flexible in action. For the one who adapts fast in changing times walks through storms with quiet mastery, shaping every shift into a new path toward victory. And such a person is never left behind, they are always ahead, moving in rhythm with the ever-changing dance of life. Life often feels like a storm of responsibilities, unexpected events, and competing desires. Many people wake up each morning with good intentions, but find themselves drifting, reacting to whatever comes rather than moving with direction. They feel exhausted, yet their progress is uncertain. The problem is not lack of effort, but lack of structure. Without thoughtful planning, even the most determined spirit can lose its way. The principle that changes this is the discipline of thoughtful planning. Discipline gives structure, and planning gives vision. Together, they turn scattered effort into focused power. Thoughtful planning is not about controlling every detail of life, but about choosing with wisdom how to direct energy and time. It is the art of building a clear path before walking it, so that when the day unfolds, you move with purpose rather than confusion. History has honored this truth. Think of the great builders of the pyramids of Egypt or the architects of the Great Wall of China. These wonders were not created through chance or random effort. They were born from discipline and planning so precise that they still stand centuries later. Or consider the campaigns of Alexander the Great, who won battles not only through bravery, but through careful preparation. His victories were decided long before the swords clashed, because his discipline of planning had already secured the outcome. To live by this principle, one must train the mind to expect both sunshine and rain. When life is peaceful, do not waste those moments, use them to strengthen yourself. Build savings when you have enough, nurture relationships when they are strong, and train your mind in calmness when days are easy. This way, when storms come, you do not collapse, you endure. A simple practice is to reflect each week, if a challenge struck tomorrow, how ready am I? This question awakens foresight. It encourages you to put things in order, sharpen your skills, and keep your inner world steady. Preparation becomes not a burden, but a quiet strength carried with you everywhere. Remember, storms are not signs of failure. They are part of life's rhythm, but those who prepare do not fear them. They face them with calm eyes and steady steps, knowing they have built an inner fortress. The storm may rage, but it cannot destroy what is already secured. So prepare in times of peace, and you will not crumble in times of trial. Be like the wise builder who lays deep foundations before the winds arrive. For the one who prepares before storms are near carries an invisible crown of strength, and when the storm passes, they stand tall, unbroken, and ready to walk into the sunlight of a new day. Life often throws us into storms of confusion. A sudden crisis at work, a heated conflict at home, or an unexpected turn of events can leave the mind spinning. In such moments, most people react with panic. They rush decisions, speak words they later regret, or freeze entirely, unable to think clearly. Chaos has a way of shaking even the strongest heart, and it is in these moments that true strength is tested. The principle that brings mastery is the practice of strategic calm. Calmness is not weakness, it is controlled strength. It is the ability to remain steady while the world trembles. Strategic calm means more than silence. It is the art of holding stillness in the mind, analyzing the storm, and moving with wisdom rather than impulse. The one who learns this discipline can outlast chaos and even turn it into advantage. History has honored those who carried this gift. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, ruled in times of war, plague, and unrest, yet his calmness of thought allowed him to govern with fairness and wisdom. His writings still teach us that the mind must remain steady, no matter the storm outside. Or consider Mahatma Gandhi, who faced oppression and violence, but answered not with rage, but with calm strategy that shook an empire. Their power did not come from noise, but from inner stillness sharpened into clear action. This truth also lives in daily life. Imagine a mother whose child is injured in an accident. If she panics, she may make mistakes that worsen the situation. But if she takes one deep breath, calms her heart, and acts with focus, calling for help, applying care, her calmness becomes the shield that saves her child. Chaos is the same, but the response changes everything. To develop strategic calm, one must learn to pause when the storm rises. Instead of letting fear or anger take control, breathe and step back. Ask yourself, what is the wisest move now? What action brings clarity, not more confusion? This small pause opens the door to reason, allowing logic to guide where emotion would mislead. A simple practice is to train in small, daily frustrations. When delays, arguments, or mistakes appear, practice stillness. Do not react immediately, observe, breathe, and choose carefully. Over time, the mind becomes conditioned to remain calm, even in greater storms. This becomes your hidden weapon, the ability to think clearly when others are blinded by chaos. Remember, chaos itself is not the enemy. It is our reaction to it that decides victory or defeat. The one who holds calmness holds control, while the one who loses calmness becomes a prisoner of the moment. Strategic calm is the rare power to see through the fog, to wait when others rush, and to strike when the moment is right. So when life surrounds you with noise and confusion, do not let your spirit tremble. Be still, breathe deeply, and let your calmness become your strategy. For in chaotic moments, those who master silence within are the ones who write their destiny without. And once you learn this art, no storm will ever rule you again. You will walk through chaos with the quiet authority of one who cannot be broken. Most people move through life by following what has already been done. They copy what others believe, repeat what others say, and walk the same well-worn paths. This is safe, but safety often hides mediocrity. When challenges appear, the crowd reacts in predictable ways, trapped by the same habits of thought. Yet, those who dare to think differently break free from this cycle. They see what others miss, discover solutions hidden in plain sight, and open doors that the ordinary mind cannot imagine. The principle that transforms lives is the advantage of thinking differently. To think differently does not mean being strange for its own sake, it means refusing to be limited by convention. It is the courage to ask questions others avoid, to look at a problem from angles others ignore, and to imagine a path where none seems to exist. This kind of thinking is a source of power, because it gives birth to ideas that change lives, nations, and even the world. History is filled with examples. Galileo dared to think differently when the world insisted that the Earth stood at the center of the universe. His vision reshaped science. Albert Einstein refused to accept ordinary ideas of time and space, and his different way of thinking gave rise to a new understanding of the cosmos. Closer to human struggle, Martin Luther King Jr. thought differently about justice, not as something to be begged for, but as a destiny to be claimed. Their greatness was not in following the crowd, but in stepping beyond it. This truth also appears in simple daily life. Imagine a shopkeeper whose business begins to fail because customers no longer come. Most might blame fate and give up. But a shopkeeper who thinks differently may ask, what if I offer something new? What if I arrange my goods in a fresh way? What if I create an experience others are not offering? By thinking differently, he finds ways to attract people again. His business survives not by luck, but by vision. To practice this principle, one must first train the mind to question patterns. When faced with a challenge, instead of asking, how do others handle this, ask, what if there is another way? By shifting questions, you shift possibilities. Thinking differently begins with imagination and grows with courage. A simple framework can help. When faced with a problem, pause and explore 3 lenses. First, see it as others see it. Second, flip it and see it in the opposite way. Third, step above it and ask what no one else has asked. These perspectives often reveal paths invisible to ordinary thought. With time, this becomes a habit, and your mind grows sharper, freer, and more inventive. Remember, the world does not honor those who merely follow it, it remembers those who create. The crowd may laugh at different thinking at first, but eventually, it is the very spark that lights progress. So when life confronts you with a problem, do not limit yourself to the answers everyone else repeats. Step aside from the crowd, open your mind, and let yourself see differently. For the advantage of thinking differently is nothing less than the power to shape your own path, to transform obstacles into opportunities, and to leave behind a mark that others cannot erase. And once you hold this advantage, you no longer walk in borrowed footsteps, you walk in your own, carving trails where none existed before. In every life there come moments when a problem feels larger than strength itself. Plans fail, resources vanish, and the path ahead seems locked from every side. Many people, when faced with such walls, surrender. They call it impossible and stop searching for a way through. But the truth is, what appears impossible often hides a solution, one that does not come from ordinary thinking, but from creativity. The principle that transforms despair into triumph is the art of finding creative solutions for impossible problems. Creativity is not limited to art or invention. It is the power of the mind to imagine beyond what is seen, to bend rules without breaking them, and to turn obstacles into opportunities. When logic reaches its limits, creativity opens secret doors. The one who learns to use this gift holds an invisible strength, for no problem can fully defeat a mind that dares to imagine differently. History shows us this again and again. The Wright brothers faced what the world called impossible, heavier than air flight. While many laughed at the idea, they combined observation, experimentation, and imagination and finally gave the world wings. Or think of Mahatma Gandhi, who faced the seemingly impossible task of resisting a mighty empire without violence. Through creative strategies of non-cooperation and peaceful protest, he turned weakness into power and inspired millions. Their victories came not from following the usual path, but from daring to carve a new one. This principle is alive in ordinary struggles, too. Imagine a small town facing water shortage. The people despair, thinking survival is impossible. But one farmer looks deeper. Instead of waiting for rain, he digs channels to collect even the smallest trickles, recycles water from daily use, and plants crops that require less. Soon, his farm thrives while others fail. His success was not luck, but creative vision applied to an impossible problem. To live this way, one must first silence the voice that says, "It cannot be done." That voice kills solutions before they are born. Instead, ask, what if there is another way? What has not yet been tried? What would happen if I flipped the problem on its head? Creativity grows in the soil of daring questions. A simple framework can be practiced. When faced with a problem, pause and imagine 3 solutions: one ordinary, one opposite, and one wild. The ordinary may work, the opposite may surprise, and the wild may spark an idea that shifts everything. Even if none are perfect, the act of stretching the mind breaks the prison of impossibility. With time, the mind becomes skilled at escaping traps that hold others bound. Remember, what people call impossible is often only what has not yet been solved. The greatest breakthroughs in history were once laughed at as dreams. But dreams, when fused with courage and creativity, become realities that reshape the world. So when life places an impossible problem before you, do not bow in defeat. Instead, let your mind expand beyond the obvious. Imagine boldly, create fearlessly, and seek the unseen path. For the one who learns to find creative solutions is never truly trapped, and no wall can contain the spirit that dares to think beyond it. Such a person does not merely survive the impossible. They transform it into triumph. #24. Outsmarting obstacles with mental agility. Life places obstacles in everyone's path. Some are small annoyances, while others feel like mountains standing between us and our dreams. Many people, when faced with these barriers, either push blindly with force or give up in despair, yet force alone often breaks against the wall, and surrender only leads to regret. What truly overcomes obstacles is not brute strength, but mental agility, the ability to think quickly, adapt wisely, and find hidden paths where none seem to exist. Mental agility is the art of shifting perspective, of dancing with problems instead of being crushed by them. It means refusing to be trapped by one way of thinking, and instead bending the mind until new solutions appear. The person who masters mental agility does not fight obstacles head-on like a battering ram. Instead, they weave around them, using creativity and intelligence to turn challenges into opportunities. History shines with figures who embodied this. Consider Odysseus in ancient tales, remembered not for raw power but for cleverness that outsmarted giants, storms, and enemies. Or think of Leonardo da Vinci, who combined curiosity with agility of thought, seeing connections others missed, and birthing ideas centuries ahead of his time. Their victories came not from brute strength, but from flexible minds that could bend without breaking. This principle is alive in ordinary life, too. Imagine a student struggling with a subject he finds difficult. If he insists on using the same method again and again, frustration grows. But if he shifts, seeking another explanation, breaking the problem into smaller steps, or even teaching it to a friend, suddenly the wall begins to crumble. His success is born not of stubborn force, but of mental agility. To develop this gift, one must first let go of rigid thinking. Obstacles demand fresh vision, and fresh vision comes when you ask different questions. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "How can I approach this differently? What angle has not yet been tried?" The mind, once freed from fixed patterns, becomes quick and light, able to twist problems into possibilities. A simple way to practice is to treat every small setback as training. When plans go wrong, resist anger. Instead, pause and imagine at least 3 other ways forward. Even if the first 2 are weak, the third may hold the seed of an answer. With time, the mind becomes skilled at leaping beyond obstacles instead of colliding with them. Remember, obstacles themselves are not the true enemy. It is the stiffness of the mind that makes them appear immovable. Mental agility transforms them. Like water flowing around rocks, the agile mind finds its way through, never stopped, always moving. So when life places a barrier before you, do not break yourself against it. Instead, bend your thoughts, sharpen your imagination, and move with quiet flexibility. For the one who outsmarts obstacles with mental agility cannot be trapped, and every wall becomes a doorway waiting to be discovered. And once you hold this gift, you walk through life with a mysterious power, the ability to turn even the heaviest stone into a stepping stone toward destiny. Every life carries trials, plans collapse, dreams are delayed, and struggles appear when least expected. Many people see adversity as a curse, a punishment that steals strength and robs peace. They allow it to weaken their spirit, and they remain trapped in bitterness. Yet adversity itself is not the true enemy. It is, in fact, raw energy. The difference lies in whether one allows it to consume them or chooses to transform it into power. The principle that changes despair into strength is learning to turn adversity into tactical power. Tactical power is not brute force. It is the art of using hardship as a weapon, of turning pain into wisdom and loss into strategy. Every difficulty carries lessons hidden within it, and the one who can draw out these lessons transforms suffering into fuel. To master this is to become unshakable, for no adversity can truly defeat someone who knows how to use it. History gives us living proof. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, cut off from his family and freedom. For most, such adversity would have destroyed hope. Yet Mandela transformed his suffering into strategy. He studied, reflected, and prepared his spirit. When he finally stepped out, he did not return broken, he returned with tactical power, strong enough to guide a divided nation toward unity. Or consider Abraham Lincoln, who faced business failures, political defeats, and personal losses before becoming president. Each setback refined his character, sharpening his ability to lead with wisdom. Their greatness was not born despite adversity, but because of it. This truth also lives in everyday life. Imagine a young man who loses his job unexpectedly. At first, fear overwhelms him, but if he shifts his perspective, he may realize the adversity gives him time to learn new skills, to search for paths he had ignored, and to strengthen his resilience. The very loss that once felt like ruin becomes the reason he grows into a stronger and wiser version of himself. To live this principle, one must learn to pause in the middle of adversity and ask, what is this teaching me? How can this pain be turned into power? By seeking lessons instead of drowning in despair, the mind begins to see hardship as preparation rather than punishment. A simple practice is to reflect after every struggle, writing down what strength was gained from it. Perhaps patience, perhaps courage, perhaps clarity. Over time, this habit trains the mind to see adversity not as an enemy, but as a silent teacher. This shift transforms wounds into weapons and trials into tools. Remember, fire can burn, or it can forge. Adversity is the fire of life. If you surrender, it consumes you. But if you stand with courage, it shapes you into something stronger, sharper, and more powerful than before. So when adversity strikes, do not curse it and do not bow to it. Instead, gather its hidden lessons, sharpen them into strategy, and let them carry you forward. For the one who learns to turn adversity into tactical power cannot be defeated. Every trial becomes their training and every setback their secret strength. Such a person walks through storms with quiet authority, knowing that even in struggle, they are already preparing for victory. Every day, people rise to face a world that tests their strength in countless ways. Some struggle with setbacks at work, others wrestle with disappointments in relationships, and many quietly battle with fears and doubts that live deep within their own hearts. Life has a way of throwing storms without warning, dreams that collapse, doors that shut, people who leave, and paths that suddenly seem dark. In such moments, many feel as if their strength is slipping, as if they are too small for the battles they must fight. But history whispers a different truth. It is not the strongest who always survive, nor the most intelligent, but those who carry within them a secret map, an inner design that allows them to bend without breaking, to endure with grace, and to rise again with renewed fire. This is what I call the blueprint of smart resilience. Resilience is more than endurance. It is not blind stubbornness or simply waiting for the storm to pass. Smart resilience is the art of meeting challenges with wisdom, adapting with courage, and turning adversity into fuel for transformation. It is a quiet power that allows one to stand firm, even when the ground shakes beneath them. When mastered, it becomes the very foundation of personal power, the hidden source from which heroes draw their strength. History is full of those who mastered this blueprint. Think of Abraham Lincoln, who lost elections, faced business failures, and endured deep personal losses, yet still rose to become one of the most respected leaders the world has ever known. His strength was not that he never fell, it was that he refused to let his falls define him. Or consider Helen Keller, born into silence and darkness. Yet she broke through her barriers to inspire millions, proving that true resilience is not merely surviving difficulty, but transforming it into triumph. In a more ordinary scene, imagine a young man who dreams of becoming a teacher. He studies hard, but when the exams come, he fails. The world tells him to give up, whispers that he is not cut out for it. For a time, he feels crushed. Yet, instead of surrendering, he looks at his failure closely, learns where he went wrong, seeks guidance, and prepares again with smarter effort. The next time, he succeeds not because the path became easier, but because he became stronger and wiser. That is smart resilience in action. So how can one build this blueprint in their own life? It begins with a shift in the way we see challenges. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the resilient mind asks, "What can this teach me? How can I use this?" With this question, every obstacle becomes a teacher and every hardship a hidden gift. The second step is flexibility, the willingness to adjust without losing direction. A tree that refuses to bend in the wind is easily broken, but one that sways survives the storm. Finally, smart resilience requires belief, a deep, unshakable trust that within you lies the power to rise again, no matter how many times you fall. Each person can begin today. When you meet disappointment, pause and breathe. Look at the lesson hidden within. Adjust your steps if needed, but never abandon the path that calls to your soul. Trust that every storm strengthens the roots of your spirit. And when you rise, rise not with bitterness, but with wisdom, for that is the true mark of resilience. The blueprint is already within you. It is not something you must find outside. It is your natural design, waiting to be awakened. When you walk with smart resilience, life's storms do not destroy you. They carve you into someone unshakable, someone who glows with quiet power. So, let the world bring its trials. Let the winds roar and the nights grow dark. Remember, the resilient do not simply survive. They rise, they transform, they shine. And when you carry the blueprint of smart resilience in your heart, no storm will ever be your master. Instead, you will stand as the master of your own destiny. Everywhere we look, people are in a hurry. They want results today, answers right away, and success without delay. A student feels restless when progress in studies is slow. A young worker feels frustrated when recognition takes years to come. A person chasing a dream often grows impatient when doors do not open as quickly as hoped. This rush, this thirst for immediate reward, often leads to poor choices, wasted effort, and unnecessary suffering. Yet the truth of life is this: the greatest victories are rarely won in haste. Just as a seed cannot become a tree overnight, true success requires time, preparation, and steady patience. Here lies the hidden art, cultivating patience for strategic gains. Patience is not weakness, and it is not passive waiting. Patience is the quiet strength to hold your ground, to act with wisdom instead of impulse, and to trust that steady steps lead to lasting triumph. Life is full of trials that test the human spirit. A student may study hard and still face failure. A worker may give their best and yet be overlooked. Families may struggle to keep peace while burdens grow heavy. Dreams often seem far away, blocked by walls of doubt, delay, and disappointment. In such moments, many feel crushed, believing they lack the strength to continue. But within every challenge lies a hidden key, the ability not just to survive the storm, but to rise above it with wisdom, endurance, and light. This is the principle of outsmart, outlast, outshine. It is the art of facing hardship, not with panic, but with strategy, not with weakness, but with perseverance, and not with despair, but with the determination to let your spirit shine brighter than the shadows around you. Those who master this principle discover a secret path to power and transformation, one that turns obstacles into stepping stones. History is filled with those who prove this truth. Think of Alexander the Great, who conquered vast lands not merely by force, but by outsmarting his enemies with brilliant strategies that others could not foresee. Think of Thomas Edison, who faced thousands of failures in his experiments but outlasted them all, saying that each failure only brought him closer to success. And think of Martin Luther King Jr., whose words and courage outshone hatred and fear, leaving behind a legacy that still inspires the world today. In a more everyday story, imagine a young woman who dreams of becoming a doctor. She studies, but fails her entrance exam the first time. Many around her say she is not capable, and the weight of disappointment nearly breaks her. But instead of surrendering, she chooses to outsmart the challenge. She changes her study method, learns from her mistakes, and prepares with sharper focus. She outlasts the doubts and the long hours of struggle, refusing to give up. And when she finally succeeds, her victory shines not just for her, but for her family and community, proving that resilience, intelligence, and courage can rewrite any destiny. How then can we live by this principle in our own lives? It begins with the mind. Outsmart the challenge by seeking wisdom where others see only walls. Every obstacle hides a lesson, and every failure carries a clue. Next comes endurance. Outlast the hardship by holding steady, step by step, even when the path feels endless. Patience and persistence are the true weapons of those who refuse to be defeated. Finally, do not hide your light. Outshine the darkness by rising with dignity, with kindness, and with the quiet glow of someone who has turned pain into strength. This way of living does not remove struggle, but it transforms struggle into power. The person who learns to outsmart becomes wise, the one who outlasts becomes unshakable, and the one who outshines becomes an example, lifting others simply by the radiance of their spirit. Remember, challenges do not come to destroy you, they come to shape you. The stone that resists the hammer becomes the statue that inspires generations. The seed that survives the harshest season becomes the tree that gives shade for centuries. So too will your trials, once overcome, become your crown. When you stand before life's storms, whisper to yourself, I will outsmart this. I will outlast this. I will outshine this. For the mind that sees beyond, the heart that refuses to quit, and the soul that dares to glow in the dark cannot be conquered. The world does not remember those who gave up when things grew hard. It remembers those who rose, those who endured, those who shone. So rise, endure, and shine, for that is the mark of one who masters every challenge. Each day, people rise to face choices that shape their lives. Some decisions seem small: what to focus on, where to place their effort, how to respond to a challenge. Others carry weight: whether to pursue a dream, how to handle conflict, or when to take a step forward. Yet many move through life reacting to events as they come, allowing circumstances to control them instead of directing their own path. This leads to frustration, wasted time, and the feeling of being trapped in cycles that repeat. But there is a higher way, a way of living with intention rather than impulse. This way is strategic thinking as daily practice. Strategic thinking is not only for kings, generals, or great leaders. It is a skill every person can cultivate. It means looking ahead, seeing beyond the immediate moment, and guiding each action with purpose. When mastered, it transforms ordinary lives into powerful journeys of clarity and achievement. History is rich with examples of those who live by strategy. Consider Sun Tzu, the ancient thinker whose wisdom in the art of war is still studied today. He taught that battles are won before they are fought through planning, foresight, and clever positioning. Or think of Abraham Lincoln, who faced a divided nation. His ability to think strategically, balancing firmness with patience, allowed him to steer the country through its darkest trial. These figures remind us that great outcomes are not accidents, they are the fruit of deliberate thought and steady vision. In daily life, strategy shows its power in simple yet profound ways. Imagine a young man who dreams of starting his own small business. If he acts only on excitement, he may rush, spend all his savings, and fail quickly. But if he makes strategic thinking his daily habit, he studies, observes, and plans carefully. He saves steadily, learns from those with experience, and chooses the right time to begin. Even when challenges appear, his preparation allows him to adapt without fear. His success does not come from chance, but from thought turned into disciplined action. To bring this into your own life, start with awareness. Each morning, ask yourself, what is my real goal today? Then choose actions that move you closer to it, even if the progress is small. Learn to pause before reacting. Step back and ask, will this choice serve me tomorrow, or only in this moment? Over time, these small questions build a sharper mind and a clearer path. Like a chess player, you begin to see not just the move in front of you, but the chain of moves ahead. Strategic thinking as daily practice is not about rigid control. It is about flexibility guided by vision. A river does not stop when rocks appear, it flows around them, finding a way forward without losing its direction. In the same way, a strategic mind adjusts to obstacles without abandoning its purpose. This gives you strength in times of uncertainty, for you are no longer at the mercy of chance, you are the author of your own design. When you live with strategy, your days stop being random. Every choice becomes part of a larger picture. Failures no longer feel final. They become lessons that sharpen your next step. Success no longer feels fleeting. It becomes a natural outcome of consistent planning. Most importantly, you gain an inner calm, for you walk through life not as a wanderer, but as a builder of destiny. Remember, the world belongs not to those who simply wish, but to those who think, prepare, and act with wisdom. A person who practices strategic thinking daily becomes like a master craftsman. Each stroke of effort is precise, each move purposeful, each result lasting. So, as you stand before the challenges of life, choose to live with vision. Think not only of today, but of tomorrow. See beyond the struggle, and design your path with patience and clarity. For when you make strategic thinking your daily practice, you do more than survive the world, you shape it. And when others stumble in haste, you will walk with quiet strength. You will outthink, outlast, and outshine because your life is not left to chance, but guided by the steady hand of strategy. Life often feels like a battlefield. People compete for success, for recognition, for peace within their families, and for progress in their dreams. Many believe that the only way to win is by pushing harder, fighting louder, or forcing their way through. Yet force, though it may bring quick results, often creates resistance, conflict, and exhaustion. It may win the battle, but it rarely wins the heart or the future. The deeper truth is this: the greatest victories are not won by sheer power, but by wisdom. Wisdom is the art of seeing beyond the moment, of choosing the path that leads to lasting triumph rather than temporary relief. To win with wisdom is to rise above brute struggle, to act with clarity, patience, and strategy. When one learns this principle, life itself begins to change. Challenges stop being walls and become doors, opened not by force, but by understanding. History reveals the power of this truth. Mahatma Gandhi did not overthrow the British Empire with weapons. He used wisdom, patience, and nonviolent resistance. His strength lay not in muscle, but in mind and spirit. Similarly, the Chinese general Sun Tzu in The Art of War taught that the highest form of victory is to win without fighting at all, to outthink the opponent so completely that force becomes unnecessary. Even in stories of great inventors like Thomas Edison, wisdom triumphed. Thousands of failed attempts did not defeat him because he approached each setback as a lesson. His wisdom turned failure into the stepping stone of invention.